What is aggressive wrestling? My advice would be aggressive wrestling is just not, wild, aggressive hand fighting, a wild, aggressive, shooting, leg attacking. You kind of open yourself up. One of the main setups for a leg attack is a reshot or a reattack. So you always have to be patient. You should look for your shot to finish ratio. How many times did you attack the legs? How many times did you get shoulder deep with a deep right knee if you're a right-handed wrestler? What was your finishing rate? Once you start to calculate those things, not just how many takedowns you got, because, if I throw 5 touchdowns, but I throw 7 interceptions, you can't call me a great quarterback. How many times did you take a shot and get scored on? You should be looking at these things, especially as you get more skilled from, we should look at these for more of a, diagnostic standpoint as you become more skilled. Sure, you should be aware of these in the beginning as well. So being aggressive is aggressively holding position, aggressively being dedicated to keeping people off of your legs, aggressively trying to get to their legs. While you're on offense, you're aggressively also on defense at the same time. We never want to trade punches with our opponent. Your wrestling match should not look like a Rocky movie where he gets punched in the face 700 times and punches his opponent in the face 700 times and miraculously pulls it out at the buzzer. You want to aggressively work on your efficiency. Aggressively fight for your tie-up. We will wrestle from my 1 or 2 best tie-ups. That's how the game will be played. We won't play the game any other way. I will aggressively fight for head position. A rule I made up actually when I was 12 was my head will be 2 inches lower than yours or you will get hit in the back of the head. Not that I was ever a big aggressive hand fighter or something. I was more of a slick kind of a wrestler, I guess. But, that was something that I dedicated myself to. And, I had a phrase, I want to keep my legs a mile away. So I knew if I can keep my legs a mile away from you from a real bent over stance, and I think that's the one thing that helped me at Oklahoma State was that was pretty much kind of the cornerstone of the wrestling, and they still are bent way over at the stance. It used to be called the European wrestling stance. Now it's just called the wrestling stance, right? Because we've sort of adopted that in America. Feet wide, touch a mat, don't let your opponent read your shirt, right? That's what we teach in our online wrestling academy and camps. So, just some rules. You want to aggressively enforce your style of wrestling. Aggressively make your opponent wrestle within your rules. So, I'm sure someone like Jordan Burroughs says, I aggressively fight to make sure that we will not be wrestling from a tie-up, or at least not a in-tight tie-up, where maybe, Kyle Schneider, or more of a power wrestler, Israel Martinez, who I think is a tremendous wrestler, he says, I will aggressively fight to make sure that you are in an underhook the whole match. 700 times of practice, I will dig an underhook. Hayden Hidley, who I think is one of the best college wrestlers I probably have ever seen. I think he's going to be able to do tremendous things on the international level. He lives in an underhook, right? Once you learn where you're good and where you're not good, what we do, this is what we do at our 28-day wrestling camp also, is we have our athletes sit down with notebooks. We have seminars, right? 4 seminar days. One seminar day is developing your own personalized wrestling system. We do this in our wrestling academy as well with our world-class wrestler program. We have 4 programs: beginners, PWA core, Purler Wrestling Academy Elite, and then Purler Wrestling Academy World-Class Wrestler Program. So we really are aggressive in those rooms, in those advanced formats, with having our athletes diagnose with a pen and paper and do some thinking. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What weaknesses can I not fix? right? Or some you can fix a little bit. So, you know, I know when I was a wrestler in high school, my last year or two of high school, I was kind of tall because I cut so much weight. I have an identical twin brother. I had to go down. College wrestled 118. I was a tall wrestler. But when I started wrestling 126 and even a few times 134, I was a short wrestler. I was like, holy cow, I did not realize just going from being, you know, a couple inches taller than my opponents to a couple inches shorter makes that much of a difference. Right? I couldn't fix that. So, you know, I'm 5'5" on a tall day. I do not have leverage. Kerry Collat does not have leverage. That's a weakness that he can't fix. But he's short and compact, has a hard time getting out of position, extremely powerful. So that's one of his strengths. You look at maybe someone who's real tall and skinny, I don't know, maybe like a Cale Sanderson or Jason Knopf, they seem to be tall and lanky. They have leverage, but they don't have a short, powerful, compact frame. So being short and powerful is a strength and a weakness. Being tall and skinny is a strength and a weakness. And it can change a little bit as you hop around weight classes, right? We have a wrestler right now, Brent Whitaker. He's being recruited by a lot of top schools, Princeton, Stanford, NC State, quite a few. He's real tall and lanky, and he's tremendous, won a couple state titles already. But I do think that maybe in college, they say, some of these colleges think, we want you at 97. He could probably be there one day. So as he gets bigger and stronger and starts, destroying the weight room, his strengths and weaknesses might change a little bit. So it's important to realize the weaknesses that you have that you cannot fix. So people say, well, my son is not a fast wrestler. And I always say, so? Don't wrestle fast. Don't try to wrestle so fast, right? Give me anybody. This is Chico Boy. He always works with me. Chico Boy's right here. Sometimes Titus the Great's in here. People say, why'd you name your dog Titus the Great? And I go, because he's great, right? Well, that's Chico. But you have to say, I am not world-class fast, so don't try to wrestle fast. Now you can work on foot speed and improve it. You might not be pound for pound one of the strongest athletes at your weight class in the nation, but you can get stronger. But I'm never going to be a top 5% powerful wrestler. I just don't have that, right? So there are some strengths and weaknesses that you can't fix, but you can improve a little bit. But just because you improve a little bit, does that mean you're going to be a power wrestler? No. Just because you improve your speed and hand speed and foot speed and level changing a little bit through effort, does that mean you're going to be as fast as Jordan Burroughs and you should try to wrestle like him? No, that would be silly. So you want to aggressively evaluate yourself. I want to aggressively control my environment. I aggressively fight to make sure that, if my friends turn into losers, I aggressively push them away. You're going to outgrow some people. I aggressively protect myself. As you get very good at wrestling, people are going to want to coach you and put their thumbprint on you, right? My dad used to tell me when we got good, he's like, these people are not your friends, Nick. When you start to get really good, people always want to be seen with you. They want to coach with you. He's like, they'll be the first ones to laugh when you lose. My dad was kind of a cynical, old, mean, tough iron worker. But there was some truth to that, right? You see, these famous actors and performers, they start to attract kind of groupies and crowds. And those people aren't necessarily good. So as you get very good, you want to protect yourself and say, you know what? All these coaches and people want to actually help me now. They didn't give a crap about me when I sucked. So you want to aggressively evaluate who's here to help me and who's just here along to jump on my coattails. So being aggressive runs a complete gamut. It's not just, how aggressively you wrestle, and you don't want to turn into a Rocky movie. Your wrestling does it. So there's my tips on what being an aggressive wrestler is. You can check us out, purlerwrestling.com. We'd love to have you. We do everything, not just camps and academy clinics. We have many training programs. You should check out purlerwrestling.com. We would love to help you. And, aggressively seek out people who can help you, right? And that's another example. Good luck.